guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about tips for New York. So this is the perfect video if you're thinking of going to New York, or you are going to New York and you know, you're just like thinking out what you want to do, and you know, like some tips for going there. Sorry if I sound really ill, because I have a really bad kind of cold slash cough. So if I start going into a coughing fit, I will pause the video and return, because I have literally just been having a million coughing fits, so it's kind of leaving my voice a little bit croaky. But anyway, I will do my best to get through this video. And yeah, I've got about like 5 kind of separate sections, 5 kind of tips. It's not going to be a long video though. I did a video like this for California, when I came back from California, but it was much longer because I focused on like each of the cities that I went to. So I did like LA, San Francisco, San Diego and Las Vegas. So if you haven't seen that, or if you're going to California or whatever, you're interested in California or those cities, then I will leave that the link to that video below. But yeah, today is going to be all about New York, which for me is like my most favourite city out of everywhere I've ever visited. So yeah, if you are going, then I'm like very jealous and just have an amazing time. But yeah, let's get on with the tips. Okay, so my number 1 kind of tip slash warning, and if I'm looking down it's because I'm looking at my notes, but yeah, my first kind of tip would be more of a warning, and it is the security and the queues. Obviously I think when you're going to New York for like the first time, you're going to want to do all the touristy things that people do, like the Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, Rockefeller, the 9/11 memorial, things like that, you know, the really touristy things. And I think like when you go, you do have to do that, because if you went to New York and you didn't do that, you'd probably be like feeling like you're missing out. So all I'm saying is do it, but be aware that you're gonna have to queue a lot, and you're gonna have to go through rigorous security. Like I'm talking airport level, or in some cases it felt more than airport level. I personally thought it was a little bit ridiculous. Obviously I know why there are these security checks, but like for example, it was I can't even remember, was it I think it was the Statue of Liberty. You were allowed in knives, like a certain length of knife. It had to be like a certain type of knife or a certain length of knife, but I wasn't allowed in my almonds. I had almonds in my bag, I wasn't allowed almonds, and I was like, really? Almonds? Knives? Like, which could I do more damage with? But anyway, so you know, things like that I didn't really personally understand, but you know, I'm just saying be aware of it. And the queues are long. We went during New Year, so it was a busy time because obviously people were on holiday, and New York's a popular place at New Year, so I think it was made even worse with that because it was really busy. So if you're going to New York during a quieter time, then you're probably not going to have such crazy queues. But New York is like a busy city all the time, 24/7, so you're definitely going to have to queue a lot if you want to do the touristy things, but I would definitely say they're worth it. And you know, you have to see the Statue of Liberty and things like that. You do have to do those things, but just be aware of the queues and the security. Okay, so my second kind of tip slash piece of information would be for airport taxis. I thought that the taxis would be really expensive, or well, because more of the distance, like, because obviously we flew into JFK, and it's a little bit away from the city, and it takes, well, it is in the city, but what I mean is it takes, because of all the traffic, it takes quite a long time to actually get into like Manhattan from JFK. It took us about an hour and a half. So we just like could not face. There is like the air train or something like that, or the air train, I think it's called the air train, which is obviously much cheaper, but we just could not face it with our bags after the long flight. We're like, we just need a taxi. So again, you have to queue for, there's like, you can't just go out and get a taxi, there's a queue for the taxis, but it goes down really quickly. And we were in this taxi for like an hour and a half, and we finally reached our destination and we're like, oh my god, how much is this taxi gonna be? I'm thinking it's gonna be like $300 or something, but it was only $55, which is like, I don't know, that's like about £35, which is amazing. I mean, if in this country we were in a taxi for an hour and a half, that would be way, 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 way more than £35. So it's actually not as bad as you think. And the reason for that is I think they have like a flat rate of $50 for airport taxis. If you're getting a taxi to the airport or getting one from the airport, it's a flat rate of $50 plus tolls and tips, obviously. So on the way there it was $55, and on the way back it was $63. So really not as expensive as you'd think, and obviously if you're sharing with like other people it's even cheaper. So I would say if you really are exhausted when you get off your flight and you just really do want to get a taxi, then don't worry, it's not going to be super expensive, and I probably would just recommend getting a taxi because it's a lot easier. Okay, so my third piece of information would be about the subway. Now, I don't know if anyone has been, like, you've probably been to London, some of you, and experienced the tube. I love London and I love the tube. It's so easy. You can get on at any station and, you know, work your way from any station to any destination that you want to go. You just, like, you know, you change lines, and it's really, really simple. They have a really good app that you can just put in your where you want to go and like how many changes you want to do, what station to get off at, blah 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 blah. It's just super, super easy, and I made the mistake of thinking that the New York subway would be similar or as easy, and it wasn't. It was very, very, very confusing. It's bizarre. I don't even know why they made it like that. Like, I think it's older than the London tube, because the London tube is like still quite modern, and even though it's quite disgusting because it's underground, it still is quite modern. The London subway is very kind of old looking, and I would still recommend trying it and doing it, because it's one of those things that, like, once you do get the hang of it, you've got the hang of it. It is a lot cheaper than, you know, constantly getting taxis everywhere. We got a week's ticket, which was $30, so it lasted us the full week, $30, which is super cheap. We still did get taxis at night time, and when we were just totally lost / exhausted, we just had to jump in a taxi. But we did try and use the subway quite a lot, and we did get the hang of it towards the end, sort of. You know, it still did confuse me, but a really good tip is they do have an app, and it's called the NYC subway app. They have a few, but they have a kind of an official one that I personally think is the best one. I will leave a link to that below. And you do just put in your destination, and it tells you which line you have to go on and where you have to change. But the difference between London and New York is in London you can get on any subway station, and you will eventually get to your destination. You just have to, like, change lines. You just crazy can't get on any station. Like, in London you can get on any station and eventually you'll find your way. In New York you have to get on you have to go to the right station to get your line. This is making no sense, but please, all I'm trying to say though is, like, Google this and research this before you go out there. Don't just expect the subway to be super easy, because it's not. But as I said, I did use the app, and I found it really, really helpful. Like, I definitely wouldn't have had a clue without the app, because the signage is really, really bad. It's really confusing and makes no sense. So get the app. And also what I would say is, if you are obviously a tourist, then you're not going to get your 3G or whatever, or your 4G, or what, you know, your you also, you can go on the internet when you're out and about, which I really find difficult because I kept wanting to like use Google Maps and use the subway app, so we kept having to go into like Starbucks and get their Wi-Fi to do it. So what I would say is before you leave, put in your journey, your route, and then do screenshots of everything just so you've got it, because it can be such a nightmare when you're just like stranded and you can't get on the internet. So yeah, that was definitely like a major like tip, and when I go back out there, I'll definitely be making sure that I do that. So yeah, subway, read up on it and just persevere. You will get there in the end. Okay, so tip number 4 is tickets, and that is TKTS. Is for Broadway. So if you're a fan of Broadway or you want to go to Broadway, I'm not a major fan of Broadway, but it's again one of those things that you're going to New York, you feel like you have to do. Obviously it's like really expensive, Broadway, so the best thing to do is go to this ticket booth that's like in Times Square. I will leave the details of that below as well. And you do have to queue for, we queued for about 2 hours I think, and it was bloody freezing. We were literally ready to slit our wrists. And basically they sell tickets on the day of the show, so you go on the day that you want to go to Broadway and you queue and get tickets. Now I think it's only open in the afternoon for nighttime performances. If you want to go to like a matinee performance, you queue in the morning. So you queue in the afternoon for your nighttime performance, and they have screens up of the shows that are available. But what I would definitely say, if you go and do that, you will save money for sure, but you have to have a few options. We kind of just had 1 or 2, and they were all like, they weren't sold out, but they only had single seats, so obviously we wanted to sit together. So we then had to like go back to the board and like have 10 other options, and we just like went through them until there was a show that was available at 2 seats together. So we ended up seeing 50 Shades of Grey, the musical parody, which was absolutely hilarious. I would totally recommend it. If you've read the book, or even if you haven't read the book, like obviously you couldn't really do 50 Shades of Grey in Broadway like in a serious way. It has to be done like as a parody, and it was just absolutely hilarious. Like I've literally never laughed so much in my life. It was just really funny, really well put together, and really well written, and yeah, I had such good fun at that. But what I would say though is be prepared to queue and have a lot of options and choices in your head. Don't just have like 1 or 2, because the chances are that they will be sold out, or like there's only like single seats that are left. So yes, but if you want to, you know, save money on Broadway and, you know, do it cheaply, then that's definitely the way to do it. And there is also an app available for that one, so again I'll leave the link below. It's called the TKTS app, surprisingly enough. Okay, so my final kind of tip would be about things to do, and the non-obvious things to do. So obviously if you want to do like Statue of Liberty and all that, like I recommend doing that 9/11, Empire State Building, Rockefeller, you know, all of those things I would definitely recommend doing. I didn't get to do Rockefeller because you actually had to book it. We went there at night time and we went to see Top of the Rock, and they had no spaces left. And they didn't have any spaces left for like the next couple of days, so you had to like book your spot. I didn't know that, so that's a tip for Rockefeller. But yeah, these are the kind of things, I've written down some things that we did that were kind of like not as obvious, or like some of them are still touristy, but they're maybe just not spoken about as much, but that I would definitely recommend doing. So first of all, you've got Serendipity. It's a really cool kind of like restaurant. There's one in Vegas, well there's like ones all over probably, but we went to the one in Vegas, so I'd already been, but the one in New York I think is much cooler. It's like much more like Serendipity. It's like very like crazily decorated, and just really cool. It's like an experience, but what I would say is that you do have to book that. Like book your place. We went in and it was like, you know, fully booked or whatever. We had to then like just book a a time and then go back again and go. Also near Serendipity is Dylan's Candy Bar, so if you're a fan of chocolate or sweets then definitely go to Dylan's Candy Bar. It's like literally just down the street from Serendipity, and Dylan's Candy Bar is actually owned by the daughter of Ralph Lauren. She set up her own candy shop, and it's just really, really cool. If you, as I say, like if you're a fan of chocolate or sweets, like who isn't, then definitely check that out. And both of those are really, really close to Bloomingdale's, so you know, if you're like at Bloomingdale's, if you do all your shopping, then definitely check out Serendipity and Dylan's Candy Bar. I would go to Columbus Circle. It is kind of like on the corner of Central Park, like the south end of Central Park. So it's like a shopping centre, but it's really, really pretty, and like if you're gonna be doing Central Park, it's a nice kind of way to enter Central Park, because you've got like the big Columbus statue, and like there's trees and they're all lit up, and I absolutely love the architecture there. Like it's this really, really cool like skyscrapers, really, really modern like shapes. I'll show you I'll insert a picture because I took a picture of it and I just thought it was amazing. So yeah, I would really check that out. They have like Sephora, J. Crew, so yeah, it's a really cool place. There's also the Magnolia Bakery, which, going back to Bloomingdale's, there's Magnolia Bakery I think on its own, but there's also one in Bloomingdale's. We went to the one in Bloomingdale's, and oh my god, it's the cutest place ever. It's where, like, you know, Carrie and all that went to get their Carrie and her girls from Sex and the City went to get their cupcakes. So check that out if you're a fan of cake. And the Russian Tea Room, that is near Times Square. I will leave the addresses and everything below, but it's really, really cool. If you're a fan of the Russian ballet, then you would love this, because it's a replica of their Russian tea room, and it's just really, really fancy. So it's not cheap, but you know, if you're in New York, if you're wanting a treat, then definitely go. It's very, very luxurious and everything, and it's like a really nice experience. Go there for like afternoon tea. Brooklyn, oh my god, I absolutely fell in love with Brooklyn. I would definitely check Brooklyn out. I didn't really get a chance to go anywhere else other than Manhattan neighbourhood wise. It was only really Manhattan and Brooklyn. So if I go back, I would definitely go and see the other neighbourhoods, but I really, really want to go to Brooklyn, mainly because of one reason. I want to go to Catbird, which is a really, really cool jewellery shop that I've been stalking for years. So we went there. It was Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn that we went to. That's where Catbird was, and we kind of like walked up and down that kind of area, and it was just really, really cool, really kind of like hip, and had like really cool graffiti everywhere, and really nice like kind of cafes and things. Really, really nice architecture. Again, I just love the buildings in New York. I'm like obsessed. But I just absolutely loved Brooklyn. I loved the vibe, you know, especially like coming from Manhattan. It was just totally different and really, really nice to see. So I would check that out if you've got time to do that. My final thing would be the Rainbow Room in the Rockefeller. As I said, we didn't get to go to Top of the Rock, but we did go to the Rainbow Room, which is a few floors down from Top of the Rock, and it just has an amazing view of the city. At night time, everything's lit up. It just looks stunning. The drinks and the cocktails are expensive. We were like $20 for a glass of wine, $28 for a cocktail. But you know, it's the experience, and I think, you know, when you're in New York, you have to do it. So yeah, the Rainbow Room, if you're planning something special for someone, or you want to surprise them or whatever, then the Rainbow Room is, oh my god, absolutely stunning. It really actually does just take your breath away. The views, and yeah, it's just so magical. I've just never been in a place like it. When you're there, you just can't really believe you are there. So yeah, definitely check that out. And yeah, that's all my tips. I feel like this video is really long, but I haven't really said much. I think I've just taken a while to get everything out because I'm feeling really ill and I can't speak properly. So I hope that hasn't ruined the video. I am going to go now before my voice is completely lost. But yeah, if you have any questions at all, because I maybe didn't go into too much detail about some of these things, if you've got any questions, then leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you. And I did do a little post on New York on my blog with some photos and things, so I will leave a link to that below. I hope you enjoyed the haul that I put up last week from New York. Again, if you haven't seen that, then I'll leave a link to it below. And yeah, I hope you're having a lovely day whatever you're doing. If you are going to New York, then have an amazing time. It's the best city in the world that I've ever been to, and I just hope you have an absolutely amazing time, and I'll see you in my next video as always. Okay, bye guys. Mwah.